The story begins with a family, an ordinary black family living in a small town, who are struggling to keep their home after a legal battle. They are faced with an unfair lawsuit from a wealthy developer who wants to buy their land. The developer's goal is clear: get them out, demolish their house, and make space for a high-end project. The family has lived there for generations. Their roots run deep in this land. The mother, father, and their children are strong, tight-knit, and have no intention of giving up without a fight. However, they know the challenge is bigger than they ever imagined. The developer hired a powerful lawyer, one with a reputation for winning cases no matter the cost. At first, they felt hopeful. They thought they could win if they presented the truth, if they proved how much this land meant to them. But they didn't know the lawyer would go to extreme lengths to make sure that didn't happen. The courtroom becomes a battleground, with every word and every move scrutinized. The family quickly realizes that this fight is not just about property. It's about their dignity, their future, and their right to exist as they are. But they will not back down. No matter how hard the lawyer tries to break them, they will hold their ground. This case will test them in ways they never expected, pushing them to confront something much larger than just a legal dispute. The lawyer hired by the developer, Mr. Thomas Daniels, walks into the courtroom with an air of confidence. Tall, well-dressed, and with a reputation for being ruthless, he immediately makes his presence known. The family feels the weight of his cold, calculating gaze, but they don't yet understand the depth of his prejudice. At first, his behavior seems professional. He addresses the court with poise, speaks clearly, and seems to stick to the facts. However, small remarks start to slip out, almost unnoticed by the judge and the jury, but not by the family. When he refers to the family, he uses dismissive language, calling them just another poor family, as if their struggles don't matter. He speaks about the land as if it's nothing more than a commodity, a piece of property to be bought and sold, without regard to its significance to those who live on it. Then, during cross-examination, the true nature of his bias comes out. Mr. Daniels tries to paint the family as irresponsible, implying that they don't know how to care for the land they've owned for generations. He brings up their race in a way that feels subtle but deliberate, questioning their ability to maintain such valuable property. The insinuation is clear: people like them don't deserve to own such land. The family is taken aback, trying to focus on the case, but it's hard to ignore the prejudice in his tone. The lawyer isn't just attacking their legal rights, he's targeting them personally. The lies are stacking up, but what really hurts is the fact that he's using their race to weaken their case. Everyone in the courtroom can feel it, but only the family knows how much these words sting. As the days drag on in the courtroom, the weight of the case begins to take a toll on the family. The mother, Marissa, keeps a brave face, trying to stay calm for her children. She constantly reminds them that they are fighting for something bigger than just a house. They are fighting for their legacy, for their right to exist on the land that has always been theirs. But behind her calm exterior, her heart is heavy. Every word spoken by Mr. Daniels cuts deeper than the last. Each lie he tells feels like a blow to everything they've worked for. The father, Michael, is exhausted. The stress of the case is wearing him down, and it shows. His normally steady hands shake as he holds his papers in court. He keeps replaying the lawyer's words in his mind, wondering how anyone could be so cruel. He knows they're telling the truth, but the lies keep piling up, and the jury is beginning to listen. His faith in the justice system begins to crack. He had always believed that the law would protect them, but now he wonders if that's just a dream. The children, Jamal and Tasha, are caught in the middle. Jamal, a teenager, tries to stay strong for his little sister, but the constant stress is taking a toll on him too. He watches his parents struggle, and he feels helpless. Tasha, younger but just as perceptive, notices the tension and the quiet sadness that has settled over their home. She asks her mother every night, "Will we lose the house?" Marissa does her best to reassure her, but the truth is, she's not sure anymore. The lies being told about their family, about their history, are hard to ignore. Every court session feels like a battle they might not win. Yet, despite all the pressure, they hold on to each other, finding strength in their unity. They know they can't give up now. As the trial continues, the lies Mr. Daniels tells become more brazen, and the truth starts to slip through the cracks. His tactics grow increasingly underhanded, designed to manipulate the court and twist the narrative in the developer's favor. At one point, he claims that the family is not the rightful owner of the land, suggesting that they had falsified documents. His voice drips with suspicion as he questions their integrity, hinting that they could be fraudsters. The courtroom falls silent, and the family feels the weight of his words as they hang in the air. But then, something unexpected happens. The defense team, working tirelessly behind the scenes, presents a critical piece of evidence: a family heirloom, an old document showing that their ancestors had owned the land for over a century. This evidence destroys the lawyer's argument that they had no legitimate claim to the property. The family breathes a sigh of relief, but Mr. Daniels doesn't back down. Instead, he turns to another strategy, attempting to discredit the family's character. He attacks their lifestyle, bringing up unrelated details about their finances, implying that they don't deserve the land because they're not good enough for it. He even goes so far as to suggest that they don't take care of the property properly, using vague accusations and photos meant to suggest neglect, but nothing solid. It's clear to everyone in the courtroom that these claims are flimsy, but his words have an effect. The jury looks uneasy, and for a moment it seems like the lawyer's lies might actually work. However, the judge, a calm and experienced figure, starts to notice the inconsistencies in Daniels' arguments. Small cracks begin to form in the lawyer's facade. The judge's eyes narrow as Daniels continues to speak, and for the first time, the lawyer starts to stammer. The lies he's telling are becoming harder to maintain, and the cracks in his story are starting to show. The courtroom watches in silence as the truth begins to reveal itself. The lies that once seemed so solid now seem weak, like a house of cards about to fall. As Mr. Daniels continues to weave his web of lies, the judge, Judge Harrison, grows more and more agitated. His calm demeanor shifts subtly, and the family can feel it. They've been watching the judge throughout the trial, but up until now, he's been silent, an observer, letting the attorneys present their cases. But now, something is different. It's as though he's finally seeing through the smokescreen Daniels has built around the truth. The judge interrupts Mr. Daniels during his cross-examination, his voice firm and unwavering. "Mr. Daniels, I must remind you that the evidence presented does not support your claims. In fact, many of your assertions are based on conjecture, not fact. Kindly stick to the actual evidence." Daniels freezes for a moment, caught off guard. The judge's words cut through the courtroom like a sharp blade. He tries to recover, but there's no mistaking the underlying message. Judge Harrison is paying close attention, and he's not buying the lawyer's tactics. He turns to the family, then to the jury, and even the spectators, ensuring that everyone in the room understands the importance of what is happening. Then, in a move that shocks everyone, the judge addresses the lies directly. The claim that this family has failed to maintain the property is unsupported. There is no evidence to suggest any neglect, and the documents provided show that this land has been cared for and passed down with pride for generations. Mr. Daniels, I suggest you reconsider your approach. The room falls silent as the judge's words resonate through the air. For a moment, Mr. Daniels stands motionless, as if the reality of the situation is finally sinking in. The smug confidence he once held begins to slip away, replaced by a flicker of uncertainty. He tries to continue, but it's clear that the judge is no longer going to let him get away with his lies. The family watches in awe, their faith in the justice system slowly being restored. The judge isn't just a passive figure anymore, he is actively protecting their rights, and they can feel the weight of his support. It's as if the tide is beginning to turn in their favor, and for the first time in this long, grueling battle, they begin to believe they might just win. The courtroom is tense as the trial nears its conclusion. The air is thick with anticipation. The family, exhausted and emotionally drained, sits on the edge of their seats, holding on to each other. Their hands are clasped together, a symbol of their unwavering unity. They've been through so much, and now everything hinges on the judge's final decision. The lawyer, Mr. Daniels, stands at his table, trying to maintain his usual confident composure, But even he can't hide the uncertainty in his eyes. His lies have been exposed, his tactics questioned. He's lost his edge. The judge, Judge Harrison, takes a moment to look around the courtroom. His gaze shifts from the family to the lawyer and then to the jury. There's a quiet authority in his presence as he prepares to speak. The tension is unbearable, and the family barely breathes, waiting for the moment that will determine their fate. Then, the judge clears his throat. After careful consideration of the evidence and the testimony presented in this case, it is clear that the actions of Mr. Daniels and his client, the developer, have been deceitful and unjust. The family has proven that they are the rightful owners of the land and have maintained it with care and respect. The accusations brought against them were baseless and rooted in prejudice. The words hit the family like a wave of relief. They exchange glances, unable to fully believe what they are hearing. Judge Harrison's voice is firm and clear as he continues. It is my ruling that this lawsuit is dismissed, and the family's ownership of the land is fully affirmed. No further legal action shall be taken against them. Gasps fill the courtroom. The lawyer stands frozen, his face drained of color. He had expected a different outcome. He had expected to win, no matter the cost. But the judge's verdict is a clear rebuke of his lies and manipulation. The family erupts into tears of joy, their long struggle finally over. Marissa presses a hand to her chest, as if she can't believe it's real. Michael wraps his arms around her, whispering words of relief and gratitude. Jamal and Tasha, eyes wide with disbelief, embrace each other, their hearts swelling with pride. They fought, and they won. Outside the courtroom, the family is greeted by supporters, friends, neighbors, and even strangers who had followed their story. It's a victory not just for them, but for everyone who has ever faced injustice. They did not just win their land back. They won a battle against hate and prejudice. In the weeks that follow the trial, the family begins to rebuild their lives. The weight that had been hanging over them for so long has finally lifted. There is a quiet peace now in their home that had been missing during the months of the trial. The land that once felt threatened now feels like a promise, one they've fought for and earned. Marissa walks through their yard, her fingers brushing against the familiar oak tree that had stood there for generations. It's more than just a tree. It's a symbol of everything they've overcome. Michael takes the time to fix things around the house that had fallen into disrepair during the trial, things he had put off while he focused on the fight for their future. He feels a deep sense of pride as he works, not just because of the victory in court, but because they had stood strong in the face of so much adversity. Jamal and Tasha, though still young, feel the weight of what they've witnessed. Jamal, who had been filled with anger and frustration, now finds solace in the sense of justice they've experienced. He talks to his parents about the future, about college, about making sure their family's story is remembered. Tasha, in her own way, is processing the triumph too. She's no longer asking about losing the house. Now she asks about what comes next, what adventures lie ahead for them as a family. The media picks up the story, highlighting the family's victory as a moment of hope in the face of racial injustice. News outlets share their story, and for once, the family is not just the subject of a headline, but the inspiration behind one. They are hailed as symbols of resilience. Though their lives return to some normalcy, the experience has left them changed. They are stronger, united, and more aware of the challenges they still face. But they have learned one powerful lesson. When they stand together, nothing can break them.